What's going on? Appreciate y'all watching my videos. What's going on? Sorry, y'all. I know that noise. I know that noise get on your nerves a little bit. But so I'm making this video. I was just sitting in my car and I was just thinking. Um, I wanted to explain, like, okay, why did I sell my truck? Um, you know, like I make a lot of the moves that I make, I kind of like weigh the cons and so it's like I just do the math. It's just math. I just weigh the odds and direction where I want to go with my life and stuff like that, and it's just math. And because I had a plan to use my truck to buy rental properties. That's the kind of plan that I had. So I still do have a plan to get rental properties, but just in a different way. So when I was running my truck, I had a plan to run my truck, pile up cash, and buy a rental property. Buy one rental property per year and fix it up and rent it out using the resources I gained from my truck. And so I was able to do that with 3 rental properties. So I ran my truck. I started out as a Snyder contractor. I was a contractor for Snyder. I ran the choice board, and I was able to pile up cash running loads all over the country. When I was on the choice board, I was making anywhere from $4,000 to $7,000 a week. That was gross, and I would bring home about, after expenses and everything, I would net about three, 3,000, 3 to 4,000 a week, depending on how I ran. And if I go home or something like that, I will make nothing. But at that time, I was single. I wasn't married. I didn't have no women chasing me. I wasn't chasing women. I had my mind focused on, building an empire for myself. I was real selfish at that time, and all I had to do was worry about myself. That's how I liked it. And I'm not looking for no pity. That's how I liked it. Because already at that time, I was like, I just left a divorce. So I was divorced probably about 4 years at that point. 4 or 5 years at that point. So, because I was divorced in 2012. Already went through a toxic, turmoil type of relationship, and I didn't want to go back there. And so I just saw it at that point, it's not really worth it to go back into a relationship. I needed to get myself together and build a rock solid foundation for myself. I wasn't really thinking about no women. I was thinking about getting to the bag. That's what I was thinking about. I wasn't studying no women. That's how I was. I have a child. And so at that time, she was like, she was like 12, 13 at that time. So I got stuff to do. And so you know, these are choices that I made to run my life. And so why did I run my truck? And I don't want to go down on a tangent, but this is to get a bigger understanding on, because I know guys that watch my videos, we're all men. Mostly men watch my videos, mostly truck drivers watch my videos. And if you think you can't do it, well, you need the whole story so they can understand that, like, oh, yeah, you can do it. You just don't want to make the hard decisions. That's all. It's the decision you gonna have to make, and you don't want to make it. You're gonna have to make the decision. That's the problem. I talked to a bunch of guys out here, friends and family and all that, and guys do not want to make the hard decision. It's a decision staring you in the face, and you don't want to make it. Because I went through a divorce. I didn't want to go through a divorce. My relationship was done. Like, that relationship was done at least 3, 4, 5 years before we got a divorce. You get what I'm saying? It was already done. We was just passing the time. Somebody had to make the decision. And so I finally threw my hands up and said, you know what? I'm done with this. I packed my bags and left. I ain't never looked back. And so in 2012, well, actually in 2011, I filed for divorce. 2012, I got a job, another trucking job, and I was able to take care of myself, make money. And then 2012, 13, 14, 15, I saved up some money, got myself together, got my place to stay, bought a car, built my life back up. Because when I got divorced in 2011, 2012, I didn't have no money, nothing. I think I had probably $1,000 in 2011, 2012. Yeah, I probably had like a few $1,000s at best. And that's the money I used to find a place, get water turned on, and and get my life together. And so and so I have to give you the story, the backstory. And so wow, I'm thinking about it. It's like, wow, man. So 2012, 13, 14, 15, I was driving for JB Hunt. I drove for JB Hunt regional, and then I got on JB Hunt and I drove local with JB Hunt Intermodal. I was making anywhere from 11 to about 1,500 a week driving for JB Hunt, driving Intermodal at JB Hunt. I took everything they got. I was by myself. I was dating some women at the time. I had a couple friends. I hung out every blue moon. I did the regular people stuff, right? But my mind was still always focused on getting the money. So if friends was to ask me, hey man, come and hang out, and like at JB Hunt Intermodal, I was on the local side. So I got home every day. At that point in time, between 2012 to 2015, somewhere in there, 2014, I was driving local. So when you driving local, I was working Monday through Friday. I was on a whole bunch of different schedules. I was on the overnight schedule where you work 7 to 4 in the morning. I was on the Thursday through Monday schedule where I worked 7 in the morning to like 7 in the morning to 5, 6 in the afternoon, Thursday through Monday. If any of you guys drive for JB Hunt Intermodal, you know what I'm talking about. And then I got tenure, I got seniority, and I got on a Monday through Friday where I work 6 to 5 or 6 or whatever. Basically 12 hours a day, 12, 13, 14 hours a day. And sometimes during the summer would be the peak load season. So like May through like July, they would ask us if we want to work extra loads. And so if we want to run extra loads, those are the times where I got the $1,400, $1,500, $1,600 checks a week. And so I would work Monday through Friday, and then I would work a Saturday or a Sunday. On a Sunday, you get paid double. And so I can run one load and make $300-$400 for the day. Now, granted, then let me warn you, Monday through Friday, for me to make $300 for the day, I would have to work 12, 13 hours, 14 hours. But on a Saturday, I can make $300 to $350, sometimes $400 a day just by running one load, because they paying you double. They paying me double. And so I would come in, and it'd be like 4 or 5 of us coming in, and we would run loads 150 miles, maybe 100 miles and back, and go home and make $350 for the day. I would come in about 6, and I'd be going home. I would run that load and come back. I'll get back to the yard probably like noon, and I'll still have a good amount of my Saturday left. And so that's what I was doing. I was paying off debt. I was piling up cash. I put a bunch of money in my 401k. That's when I was W-2. I saved up a bunch of money, and I did some research because I always wanted to get my own truck. I saved up some money, and I jumped on the Snyder Finance board. Okay? Jumped on the Snyder Finance board. The choice board. And y'all can go back through my videos when I did that. So I got on the choice board, and I was doing a bunch of research on how to buy rental properties, flip properties, and do all that stuff. At that time, I don't think it would make sense for me to flip properties. So I decided to go ahead and just buy properties, buy them and hold them, build assets, build a net worth for myself, own assets, own things that put money in your pocket. So I was just like, okay, I was running the choice board, and like I said, I was making anywhere between grossing. I was grossing in between about $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a week. There've been periods where I hit $8,000 a week in some weeks, but that's not regular. I can consistently count on $5,000 a week on the choice board, consistently. And then I would sometimes hit $6,000 a week, occasionally hit 7, and once every blue moon I would hit an $8,000 a week. And I could probably count on one hand in the year that I probably hit $8,000 a week. But I consistently hit 5, and every blue moon I hit 6, and every blue moon I hit 7. So I would get that money, and after I paid fuel and all the deductions out of my settlement, I would probably bring home about $3,000. This video isn't about leasing and all that stuff. The point is that I need y'all to understand where I'm coming from. And so I piled up that cash, and I was doing some research, and then I bought my first property. And then when I bought my second property, I was like, okay, I need to build a plan to where, because at that point, in 2 years, I bought 2 properties. And then the third year, I bought another property. I was like, man, I can buy, if I buy a property once a year, cash, if I pay cash for a property every year, in 10 years, I will have 10 properties paid for cash. Okay? In 15 years, I will have 15 properties paid for cash. And so with the rents in the area that I was investing in moderate rental properties where 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom houses where I can get rent anywhere between $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 a month. And if you just do the math, okay, you got 10 properties times, let's do 1,300, that's $13,000 a month. And usually how I run my properties is I take 40% and put it to the side for property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. Everything else goes in my pocket. And that formula has been working for me. That formula has been working for me. So $13,000 a month times 40%, I'm taking home, I'm netting. I could net $5,200 a month on 10 properties with the average rent somewhere around $1,200, $1,300 a month. And so I did that math. I was like, man, if I could continue on this, I can have 10, 15 properties paid for. And so that was my goal at that time. And so then I left the Snyder Choice Board and I went and got my own authority and I paid off the Snyder Finance truck. I know a lot of guys say you can't finish a lease. Well, I did. Okay. It only took me 3 years. It took me 2 or 3 years to get a Snyder Finance truck paid for. So I got the Snyder Finance truck. I went and bought a trailer. I financed the trailer. I built up my EIN number and my business credit and everything. And I went down there, got a no money down finance terms, and that trailer was $650 a month for the trailer. No money down. I did a video about it. Y'all go back in my catalog. I did a video about it already. I don't want to go down that route. And so I was contracted with Traveloco. And it was another company I was contracted with. And then I got my own authority. Running on my own authority, that's the most money I ever made in my life. Running on my own authority, I grossed around $200,000 2 years straight. And I got the tax returns to show it. Gross revenues. So $200,000, and I was able to net after expenses and everything somewhere around about $100,000 or so, somewhere around there. I took that money, bought rental property, and I put it in the stock market. I didn't do no Bitcoin. I didn't do nothing fancy. I just did boring, plain old S&P 500, and I bought some blue chip stocks. That's all I did. I bought Coca-Cola. I follow a lot of Warren Buffett. I follow a lot of Robert Kiyosaki. I follow a lot of Dave Ramsey. I follow everybody in between. I follow a lot of Peter Lynch. I follow all those types that talk about boring, plain old investing. Nothing fancy. I don't do no day trading and none of that. I buy and hold. Anything that I buy, I keep it forever. Okay? I'm just going to keep it honest. Anybody that's telling you that you can consistently, over a long period of time, you can day trade and make money with stocks, they're lying to you. They're lying to you. Yeah, you can make money day trading for 6 months, for a year, but to all out make a career out of it, 10, 20 years straight, they're lying to you. They can't predict the stocks. They can't predict the ups and downs of the stock market. They're lying to you. Warren Buffett himself can't do it. He said it himself. I'm just telling you. Any person on YouTube or social media that you following, don't believe that BS. I'm just going to tell you. One day you're going to get bit in the behind and you're going to lose all your money. You're going to lose more than you win. I've done it. You just get tired of losing money. Okay? You just get tired of it. You're going to meet all these folk out here talking about, oh, yeah, oh, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Don't believe them. Get your S&P 500 and just buy more shares every 2 weeks. Buy more shares every week. Whenever you get paid, just buy more shares. Me personally, I got mine set up automatically. I don't even think about it. I don't even think about it. That's how I was able to buy this car. I got money in my S&P 500 to where the S&P 500 makes so much money to where I don't even touch the principal. I can just buy cars with it. So if you got $50,000 in the S&P 500, you sit on it for about 5 years. In 5 years, 50,000 makes another 25,000. You take that 25,000, you can go dealership and buy a car with it. You ain't even break a sweat for that money. The stock market paid for it. That's what I'm talking about. That's not gambling. That ain't. You can consistently depend on a S&P 500 taking care of you and your family. So, back to the video. Why did I sell my truck? I sold my truck because when I crunched the numbers, it made more sense at that time, like I explained in the prior video, that selling my truck and going and paying cash for an accounting degree and getting a job with the federal government will afford me a better long-term retirement situation. I just felt like that's just a better decision at that time to sell the truck. It had nothing to do with the trucking industry. It's just coincidence that the trucking industry wasn't doing that good, but I was making money at that time. And the trucking industry hasn't came back yet. I mean, what we talking about? Back in 2020, 2021. So in 2021, I sold my truck. I was able to get about $70,000 for my truck. I took that money, just put it in the S&P 500. That's all I did. I thought about buying a rental property with it, but I just put it in the S&P 500, and I'm just sitting on the money. That 70,000. I have to go and check in my account, but that 70,000 has made that 70,000 has made enough money to buy a $30,000 car. I ain't even break a sweat. The stock market did it. I ain't do nothing. It's just a good old economy doing what they do. Coca-Cola doing what they do. Home Depot doing what they do. Walmart doing what they do. Okay? Good old American stock market just doing what it does. Buying and selling, growing, expanding. That's what the stock market does. All American companies, they grow. So I went and paid cash. I decided to go back to school and get an accounting degree. I did a bunch of research. I looked at the pros and cons, looked at different types of professions. I looked at IT. I thought about getting into IT. I was like, no, I don't want to get into IT because I did IT before and I didn't like it. I enjoy some parts of IT, and then in other parts of IT I don't like. So when I was in college, back in like 2002, something like that, I had some, I was in a engineering program, a computer science program, etc. And I had some programming classes. I had programming classes. We had to build these apps and stuff like that. We have to build and write code and stuff like this. Writing the code isn't too bad. You got to type up these variables and stuff like that when you're writing code. But then you got other things like when you write the code and then you get the code and you want to test it and run it through a coding software, and you got to test it and run it and test it and see if the app gonna run. And if something's wrong, you got to figure out why this app is glitching. And that's a lot of the work right there. That's a lot of the work. You have to read through 1,000 lines of code to figure out why the app ain't working right. That's the part I didn't like. You talking about hours and hours and hours of countless, and so that turned me off to software development. At that point, I was thinking, oh man, I should go into the hardware side of computer science. Go into the hardware side, designing the hardware and the motherboards and stuff like that. Microchips, getting into the hardware side, because the software side, I didn't like it. So I remember that as I'm exploring going back to IT. I don't want to do IT. I don't want to do that. So then I started looking at, okay, I ran a business. I understand basic business fundamentals. Why not add something to it? I can go get an accounting degree. And so I have a notebook where I've written down all the pros and cons and all the careers and stuff and all the salaries that I could get while working in these fields. Everything leaned towards more accounting, business, and stuff like that, because I ran a business. I like business. I like crunching numbers. I like analysis. I like helping people with retirements and stuff like that. I enjoy taxes and things like that. I like beating the regime at his own game. I like figuring the use of money, So I enjoy doing that. Beating this whole thing. I just enjoy doing that, beating this whole thing. So I went back to school and got a degree in accounting. Did that 2 years because I already had college credit, from when I was in school in 2002. I had about 60, 70, about 70, 80 credit hours. So I called the school up. Hey, I need these credits over here transferred to the school over here. The school reviewed my transcript. They entered me into the accounting program and only had probably about 40 credit hours to complete to complete and basically it's just accounting stuff. I already did the math and I already did all the history and all that stuff. I just needed to do the business stuff because I never took business in college. My transcript is mostly engineering, IT, and stuff like that. And so a lot of those credits don't count. But as far as the history and the math and all that stuff, I got that. So all I need is the business stuff. I took a bunch of accounting, business, economics, graduated, got the accounting degree. I'm done. 135 credit hours later. So here I am. I got an accounting degree. I apply to jobs at the federal government. The reason why I sold my truck is because I wanted to have a comfortable, successful, dignified retirement. I wanted to have health care for the rest of my life. It's this little program called FEHB in the federal government. So if you work in the federal government, if you're a civilian federal worker, the healthcare plan is called, not the healthcare plan, but the healthcare plan is called FEHB. So in that program, it entitles federal employees to receive a pension, health care, life insurance, dental, and vision for the rest of their life. There's some basic requirements, but generally, if you work so many years in the federal government, when you retire, you will have these things for life. If you work in the private sector, okay, a trucking company, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, you're not going to get those things. Unless you work in a private company that has a pension. So, why did I sell my truck? Well, it's just simple math. It's just simple math. So the job that I applied to is a revenue agent. I know that through my research and through doing my research of the federal government, that having an accounting degree will provide you an opportunity to get you, it's an easy barrier to entry to the federal government. All you need is the accounting degree. Now you can have an IT and other things, but with my skills and my experience, it just made sense. And it's an easier barrier to entry for me. So if you have an accounting degree, a lot of the accounting degree jobs, they have a journey level to the grade 12. There's a few other jobs, but like engineering, accounting, and some other programs, they have a straight track. It's a dedicated journey to a grade 12. So you can come in at a grade 7 or a 9, and every year you'll get a grade increase. And so after doing my research, I found out that it's very easy to get a grade increase. All you got to do is show up to work, do the job, and you get a grade increase. And so basically you get an automatic grade increase with no competition. You don't have to apply to the job again. You come in at grade 9, you get your grade 11, 12, Grade 12 is $92,000. I have already met those requirements. At that particular time, when I graduated, they were already hiring grade 12 auditors or revenue agents off the street. In some cases, they was hiring grade 13 and grade 14 revenue agents off the street. And the fact that I have prior business experience with an accounting degree, I mean, it was a good opportunity. So I took it. And so that's the reason why I sold my truck. The reason why I sold my truck is because simply, if I come in at a grade 12, the grade 12, right now I think the grade 12 pays, it's somewhere around $93,000. And you get a pay increase every year or every other year and something like that. The top, once you go through all the steps and grade up, you can qualify for grade 13. On a 15-year, 20-year career, you could easily be touching, if you look at the grade scale, for grade 13, a grade 13 step 10 is 150, I think it's 150,000. So when it's time to retire, because I'm 44 right now. So if I plan to retire at 62 years old, 62 minus, that's 18 years. So if I have, and so in order to calculate a pension, 18 years times your high 3 salary, which would be 150,000. It'll definitely be more than this, but for the sakes of kicks and giggles, times 1.1%, I'll get a $30,000 pension. Plus Social Security. I checked my Social Security account the other day, and it shows that at age 60 years old, I'm projected to get a pension, get a Social Security. I think about, I forgot how much it was. I think it was about $3,000 a month, something like that, Social Security. So hold that thought, 29. So $3,000 a month times 12, that's $36,000 a year, Social Security. And what was the other number? 29 plus 29,700. So with Social Security and a pension, I'm able to get $65,000 a year. I'm thinking it's probably going to be more than that. It's going to be more than that because in 18 years, I'm sure about time I get to a higher grade and a higher step, my pension calculation will be higher than that. My last 3 years salary will be higher than that. Trying to see what y'all talking about. So 65,000 plus my 401k. I ain't even talk about that. I got rental properties. rental property income, and I've been telling y'all I've been stacking up cash in my 401k and in my broker's account in the S&P 500. So remember the last video I just did yesterday? Remember the last video I told y'all about yesterday? Hold that 65. What was it? 65,700. Okay, hold that thought. So I save about $400 every 2 weeks in my and so hold on, let me pull up my compound interest calculator. So, okay. So my compound interest calculator says I'll have about $825,000 in my 401k in 18 years. Okay, so 825,000 times 4%, that'll give me another 33,000 in income. That is, I just go onto my 401k account and set up either a monthly or quarterly, semi-annually, or yearly draw off that account, and just draw 4% off of it. I mean, I can draw 5%. I can draw 6%. I can draw 7%. It's up to you. It's your money. You can do what you want to do. But if you want to have a comfortable retirement and make sure that you don't ever work again, you don't want to be a greeter at Walmart. You don't want to be a greeter at Walmart. You don't want to be sleeping in your car. You don't want to be that individual. These are the things you got to be thinking about. So, we can be conservative to ensure that we have a long, consistent, prosperous retirement. So we use 4%. So 33,000 plus the 65.7. Man, we talking about $98,000 in retirement. At minimum. At minimum. I'm sure it's going to be more than that, because that don't include pay increases. These are just hard numbers that we're crunching right here, right now. But more than likely, you know we're going to get raises. You know you're going to have an increase in pay and stuff like that. And so, you know, just on a basic level, we're talking about a $98,000 income in retirement. Old 60-year-old man, $98,000. And I ain't even include my rental property income. I ain't even include that. If we included my rental property income, we talking about another $30,000 in income. We talking about $130,000 in retirement. So I'm not saying it's the best reason to sell my truck, but I was at a point to where I wanted to slow down so I can focus and prepare strategies, and I can focus on other things in life. I mean, I'm just 44 years old. I ain't old. I ain't that old. But when you in a truck, you know, you so busy running the truck, you don't have no time to sit down, crunch numbers, come up with plans, come up with next steps in your life. With me, every year during January, I always assess where I'm at in my life. And I put together a plan for the next coming year. January 1st, I look at my goals and see if I met them and make some adjustments in my goals and say, okay, I met this goal. Damn, I fell short on this goal. Let me make some adjustments on what I need to make these goals. Whatever it is, whatever goal you're trying to meet. I want to pay my house off. I want to save X more dollars. I want to do this. I want to go back to school. I want to spend more time with my family. I want to become a better man. I want to take an art class. I want to do this. These are goals I'm setting for myself. And so I look at myself January 1 of every year. Sit down and be like, okay, these some things, some goals. I want to add some goals. I want to take away some goals. Did I meet this goal? Did I met this goal? Or whatever. And so these are the things we need to be doing. When you run in the truck, I ain't saying that you can't do it. It's impossible. But it gets really exhausting. And so I just like, man, something got to give. And so I just thought it would make sense for me to go and get a job in government where I can just work 40 hours a week, make the same money I did in trucking. Make the same money I did in trucking, only work 40 hours a week, have a cushy white collar office job, and so I can have time to think and have time to reevaluate. Because I just felt like I made enough money in trucking. I made plenty of money in trucking. I made plenty of money in trucking. I can go back to trucking and make some more money. But I just felt like I don't want to be a 60-year-old truck driver with a bunch of trucking stories. And I'm not poking fingers at everybody. I'm just talking about me and my life. And what I'm just saying, it's like I didn't want to be a 60-year-old truck driver with a bunch of trucking stories. I want to be 60 years old and dignified with my head high and be like, I did that. I want to have a whole bunch. I don't mind having other problems, but I don't want to have money problems when I'm 60 years old. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying trucking is bad, but I'm just saying trucking is a young man's game. And I'm not saying guys at 60 ain't running a truck, but I don't want to be 60 years old climbing in no doggone truck. So I wanted to explore new skills. I want to expand myself. I want to expand my reach as far as skill set, my abilities. I just felt like my life is just more than just holding the steering wheel and driving a truck, man. It's more to life than just trucking. I just feel like it's more to life than just trucking. So that's kind of like, I don't want to say it's a summary, because like I wanted to, expand on some things, but, I want to tell y'all, if you in my situation, and I'm not 60 yet. I'm not 60 yet. I'm just 44 years old, man. I'm just 44, but I know it's coming. God blessed me with a gift of hindsight. God blessed me with the gift of hindsight. Some people don't even learn it. They get 60 years old, 65 years old, and be surprised that they owe and rent due and groceries due. Like, bro, you 60. You didn't know you was going to be 60? I advise you to get your skills up. I advise you, that's just what I advise. I advise you to go ahead and get that together. Because everybody that's watching my video, all y'all gonna be 60. All y'all gonna be 60 one day. You ain't gonna want to get your wrinkled, tired, back hurting butt up to go to nobody job. When you get to about 55, 60, 65, you're gonna be tired of climbing into somebody's job, man. You're gonna be tired of punching somebody's doggone clock. You ain't gonna want to do it. You're gonna whoosh. Because I'm sure a bunch of y'all gonna have a few friends that's retired. When you're 60 years old, you're gonna have a couple friends that's retired. They getting a pension or whatever they getting. They out there living their life at 60, 65, 70 years old, living their best life, going on trips and living their life, not a worry in the world, not stressed about nothing. They got good health care plan just because they made this little decision. And so I don't want to be susceptible to these high insurance rates. When you get a federal government job, you get insurance for life. You're entitled for insurance for life. You get the same insurance. You get the same Blue Cross Blue Shield. You get the same Kaiser. You get the same Aetna. You get the same Humana. The same coverage as you did when you was working. You get the same plan when you work for the federal government and you retire. You don't miss a beat. When you retire, you don't miss a beat. You get the same coverage. FEHB, look it up. Go on opm.gov and look up FEHB and all the entitlements federal employees have. And I know a lot of guys are getting threatened by this current administration. Don't worry about this administration. That's just fear mongering. Don't worry about that stuff. Don't worry about that stuff. Don't worry about that stuff. Because federal employees, they have certain type of entitlements that are ingrained in the laws and stuff like that. It'll be very difficult for them to change it. And if they do change it, it'll be small changes that they try to make a big deal, but it's still not a big deal. Because at the end of the day, a federal employee gonna get a pension plan. What, they gonna get rid of the pension? That don't make sense. You know how many? It's 435 federal agencies. That don't make any sense. 435 federal agencies. Somewhere around 2 million federal employees, 2.5 million federal employees. All of them got pensions. I mean, if Congress was to vote on something like that, they'll be shooting themselves in the foot because Congress people are federal employees themselves. So they don't make no sense. The pension plans for Congress people, their pension plans are better than a regular federal employee. So, you know, it like they'll be shooting themselves in the foot. It's a lot of other things that can change, but at the end of the day, a federal employee gonna get a pension at least. They may change the pension calculation. They may change it, and they may change it like a couple dollars. But at the end of the day, you still gonna get it. And so I just felt like selling my truck, man. I can just apply my experience in a different way. Apply my business acumen, my business experience in a better way by going to school to get an accounting degree and getting a job in the federal government. Getting a job in the federal government where my skills are more applicable. My skills are more applicable. And I have a better chance of meeting my goals and stuff like that. I wanted to meet new people. I was tired of talking to truck drivers, man. I wanted to meet professionals. I just wanted to meet different grain of people, man. So anyway, that's kind of the gist. That's kind of the gist of this video. We got an hour on this video. Okay, where my comments at? Okay, where my comments at? Okay. Hold on, where my comments at? I'm trying to find my comments. I don't see my comments on here because I know y'all chatting. Hold on, y'all. Okay. Okay, that's the camera. That's the camera. My bad, y'all. I'm trying to figure something out. But anyway, if y'all made some comments, I'm sorry I can't see them for some reason. Let me pull up. Let me pull up my live. Let me pull up my live. Okay. Oh, y'all been talking. Okay. Dirty Bro. What's going on, Dirty Bro? Let me see. Is your job shut down too? I'm thinking about doing the same. Did you pay all cash for the houses under 70K? Nah. When I brought my rental properties, I hope you watching this. When I bought my rental properties, I paid cash for them. When I buy properties, I usually buy very distressed properties that's got good bone structure, good, you know. So I'll walk the property and I'll just, I have a notepad with me and I'll have a Home Depot website and I can just pull stuff up on the Home Depot website so I can do like a quick cost analysis to determine whether the property is worthy of me buying it. And so usually the only thing I want to do with a property is either put a roof on it, paint it, and get the yard straightened out. I'm not knocking down walls and doing structure and pulling permits. There's only a handful of things I want to do to a property. New HVAC system, appliances, paint, flooring, roofing, and straighten up the yard. And so you're probably looking at about $15,000 to $20,000 for that kind of stuff. That's what I'm willing to do. Anything more than that, I don't want the property. So usually all my properties be cash. It's all cash. And so I try to find something I can pay cash for. It has to be a deal. I'm not just running around buying anything. It has to be a deal. And what a deal is for me, the numbers gotta make sense. I gotta be able to get my money back out of it if something happens. The rent gotta make sense. So I look at comparable properties in the area and see what the rent is and say, okay, I'll go online and do like a 1 mile, 2 mile radius and see what the radius is, see what the rents is in the area and say, okay, the rents in this area is $1,400. I do some math, 1,400 times 12. I can get that. Insurance, da-da-da-da-da. If I'm clearing this amount of money, I'm able to get my money back in this amount of time. The only time I really take out debt, that's usually like if I'm using a vendor, like the roofing company. They usually have a credit program. You know, I believe in using credit when I need to, but not to purchase the property. I don't want to purchase the property using debt, but I'll use debt to get the roof put on. I'll use debt to put some flooring down. Like I had a Home Depot. I have a Home Depot credit card and a Lowe's credit card, and you know I got $50,000 limit on both of those. And so I can go in Home Depot and Lowe's and buy anything that I want. I can get you can get anything you need to get through the Home Depot. And like if I have like a company coming in, a contractor doing some work, like a flooring contractor, they may have like a lending program. I'll go through them and use their credit program or something like that. And then once I get the property rented, all the rent money go towards that debt. And usually I can knock out the debt in about a year or two. And so that's as far as the extent of debt that I take out, that's usually what. But when I'm buying the property, I don't use no debt. No. I got a bunch of reasons for that. I don't want to get into this video about that, but right, Dirty Bro said when he sold his, he put his in the stock market. Right. That's it. You know? You can just open the IRA account. I open the IRA account, just dump it in there, put in the S&P 500, you know? It's a bunch of S&P 500s out here. Everybody got one. Schwab got an S&P 500. Vanguard like got 3 or 4 of them. Fidelity got about 3 or 4 of them. Schwab got a couple of them. They all different breeds, but at the end of the day, it's still 500 companies in a bus. It's just a basket of stocks. That's all it is. It's the same stock market. So don't get fooled by going to these different companies. You just got to find a brokerage company that fits your style. I know, like for me, Charles Schwab fits me. I like their customer service. I like the interface of the website. I tried all of them, and I always come back to Schwab. So, you know, I suggest you do the same, because if this is going to be a 50-year, 60-year relationship, I think it makes sense for you to take the time to go ahead and it makes sense to just take the time to go on to these websites and open an account. I know you probably, why I want to open up an account all there? Because if this is going to be a 30-year, 40-year relationship, you need to make sure that the customer service is good. You're going to make sure that the user interface on the website is like, you make sure you understand how the things work, how everything works. So that way you're comfortable, because this is going to be a 30-year, 40-year relationship. I've had my Charles Schwab account for it's going on almost 20, 25 years. It's like, wow. Because I opened it and it's like I was 18. Yeah, I was like 18, 19, 20 years old, and I'm 44 now. Yeah, so it's going on 20, 22, 23 years since I had my Charles Schwab account. Because I tried Fidelity. Okay? I had an account with them. I had some stocks and stuff in there, and I just didn't like the interface. It ain't saying nothing bad. It just wasn't for me. I didn't like the interface. I didn't like the customer service. I don't know. I can't explain it. Vanguard, I got an account with Vanguard. Had some money over there, bought some stuff for a couple years. I don't know, I just didn't like it. I really can't. It ain't nothing big that y'all need to know. It's just me personal, that when I go on Vanguard, it's too simple for me. I need more tools and stuff. Like Vanguard is too plain for me. And so, in Vanguard, you can't buy other types of stocks. Like you can't buy like other types. So like Vanguard, You can buy Vanguard, but then they charge you a fee to buy other types of stuff. So if you want to buy a Schwab fund, you can buy Schwab fund, but they're gonna charge you a fee for it. So, like with Schwab, I can buy all kinds of funds. I can buy Fidelity funds. I can buy, stuff from Robinhood. I can do all kind of stuff. And so, I don't know. I always come back to Schwab. I don't know. I just like Schwab. I like the interface. They give a lot of information. The researching tool is real easy. I can research different index funds and stocks and stuff real easy. I just set the sort and set the criteria I'm looking for, and I can filter funds. It's real easy. And so, I don't know. I just like Schwab. But at the end of the day, whether you go to Vanguard or Fidelity, it don't matter. You still buying the same stock market. The S&P 500 with Fidelity and Schwab is the same 500 stocks, plus or minus a few stocks, because they're managed by different companies. So the manager can choose what funds that they want stocks that they want in there. But generally speaking, all these S&P 500 gonna have Amazon in it, Apple in it, Microsoft in it. It's the same. So you just gotta just do it. What's going on? Okay, how did you go find your rental property, and what was the amount? You just gotta do it. When it comes to rental property, you just gotta do it. You just gotta do it. What prices I pay for the houses? I pay anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000. That's my price range. Somewhere about 30 to 70, somewhere in there. That's generally what my houses I'll be looking at. Now, granted, the housing market was different at that time. At that particular time, in 2014, 2015, 2016, we was in a housing crash at that time. So I was finding a bunch of properties going for $50,000. It was a bunch of properties. There are duplexes going. I was looking at duplexes, and so it's just unfortunate I didn't have a bunch of money at that time. I could only buy one or two at a time. But but we're in a different housing market at this time. But you can still find properties. You can still find them. You just got to network and talk to people out here on the ground. You can't go on the MLS and find properties for $50,000. You can't go on the MLS and find properties for $100,000. You have to go to the clearance rack of real estate. Just like trucking. You know how you go on the load board and find cheap loads? Everybody go there. Don't go there. Okay? You have to go direct. You have to talk to somebody directly. And so how do you find a deal? It's like you got to get on the ground and knock on doors. You have, just like in trucking, to get a direct shipper, to get premium paying loads, a lot of you guys in trucking, what I'm talking about, you get direct shipper. A lot of you guys have direct shippers. You don't even go on the load boards. You don't go on the DAC board. It's cheap rates on the DAC board. So it's the same thing. You go on the MLS website, you don't go on there, because everything on there gonna be overpriced. And so you have to get out here in the field and get to know people. You have to go to real estate groups. Go in your local town, sign up for a real estate group. They call it a REIT or whatever. You get hooked up with a real estate group and you go to the meetings. They have meetings once a month, twice a month, 3 times a month. You go to the meetings, start talking to people. The same thing y'all doing on my videos, how we all networking and trucking, well, to do the same thing in real estate. So you have to do that. Since you're not in real estate, you don't know nothing. So you have to take the time, invest the time, and get into real estate. Just like you did with trucking, do the same thing in real estate. You get out here in real estate, get your name out there, print some business cards, and get your name out there. Print some business cards, have some business cards on you. You go to the meetups, and the business card don't have to be a business card. I got business cards that just got my name on it. My business card got my name on it, my phone number, and my email. It's a plain white card with my name, phone number, email. So you look more professional. You hand somebody a business card, you tell them to give you a call or look you up on Instagram or whatever, and you just hand them your business card. So that's what I advise you do. You get out here in the real estate game. You do the business. You do it. Get in it. Do it. So you start knocking on doors. You start talking to flippers. If you driving down your neighborhood and you see somebody rehabbing a house, you stop and pull up and say who you want to talk to the developer that's running this job site. And you talk to the guy, you talk to him, and he'd be like, man, hey, yeah, I got 3-4 flips going on right now. I got real estate and all that. And you want to engage with people in the real estate business. Closed mouths don't get fed, and that's how you run, that's how you get in it. And so therefore, to find cheap rental properties, you have to find the properties that's not on the market. And so I have 2 real estate connections in the real estate game, and I'm always getting emails about properties to buy and all that, and I'm trusted. They know me. They know when I'm ready to make a deal. They know I got the money. They know I got the money. They know when I'm ready to close. They know I'm not BSing. And so I don't need to be fact checked, because I have a relationship already. And so that's what you need to do. And so you get out here with some wholesalers, meet some wholesalers. Let these wholesalers know that you are trying to get in the real estate game and you looking to buy property. That's an easy one right there, because you meet with a wholesaler, they'll sell you a property, they got it on contract for, I don't know, they got it on contract for $50,000. They'll give it to you for $60,000. All they want is $5,000 for it. $5,000 to $10,000, they good. And they'll consign that contract to you for about $5,000 or $10,000. Boom, you got your property for $60,000. I would do that. You look up other landlords. A good way to look up other landlords is go onto your county website. Pull up the county websites for maybe 3-4 counties within your commuting area. Pull up the county website and do a search for owners of properties or LLCs in your area that are, got real estate names on them and all that. You're gonna have to reach out to these people and let them know that you a local real estate investor and you trying to get into the game. You trying to build a relationship. Just be straight up. You trying to get in the game. Because the same way you get spam mail in the mail, you just gonna have to get your name out there and get into the game. Just how you get into trucking. And so it's just simple as that. It's just simple as that. It's not, we try to make things more complicated than it need to be, and it's not really, it's really simple than you think it is. So I have 2 properties that I was able to get through a contact, and because she consistently sends me properties that these are cash properties. These are not move-in ready properties. They're foreclosures. I mean, you can go on. And so you just got to get a relationship with some people that's trusted. And so that's how you can find properties for below value for $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, But be willing to do what you got to do. It ain't that difficult. You just got to do, it's common sense. And if you think about it, it's like, oh yeah, it's just that easy. Yeah, it's just simple. You just got to get known. Nobody don't know you. Nobody don't know who you are. Nobody knows you alive. And so you got to get in the stream of the money. You got to get in the stream of the relationship. And so you got to raise your hand and let your name be heard. Hey, I'm here. I got money. I want to buy some properties. That's it. Okay, I'm scrolling through here because I'm about to end this video. 30 to 50K. Yeah, I know. It's, yeah, you just got to get in the game. You know, you got to get your name known out there. Yep. I thought it was crazy too, but once you start getting out there, you know, it's guys out there that got a bunch of properties, but they don't have no buyers. You know what I mean? So it's just like in trucking. You got freight brokers that got a bunch of freight, but they don't got no trucks to haul them. It's the same thing. It's the same concept. So it's the same game. So you got to find the guys that got the properties, and these are off-market properties. That's what we're talking about. Something I told you a couple months ago, the phone chase. On the phone chase. Yeah. Yeah. So and so, you know, that's the thing. That's just the game that I learned about business. Business is one of the easiest professions out there. You don't need no degree for it. You just got to have some good people skills and willing to do what you got to do to you know, make some money. You can read contracts. If you can read, write, and count, man, you can do a lot of things, man, in business. Read, write, and count. That's all you need. You don't really need nothing too complicated. If you can read a contract and you can count, you can discern between something is overpriced, and you know, you can calculate numbers, and you can say, okay, this property 50,000, you know, and you know, if you can count, okay, and if you can read a contract and read some words on a piece of paper and sign some documents and date them, you'll be fine. I mean, it's just simple. It's not that complicated. Business. The thing about business, like, you can use these techniques to just about any industry. How? Because the thing is, the stuff I'm talking about in trucking, I learned from trucking. But I found out I can use these same ideas when I'm in trucking, in a white collar job, or I can go to real estate. I can be a real estate agent. I can be a car salesman. I can work over here in a Fortune 500 company on the 50th floor. All these things are just, it's simple. You know, you just gotta stand up and do it. It's not that difficult. But anyway, I'm gonna end the video right here. But I appreciate y'all watching the videos, man.